Alright, it's day 4 here on the Norwegian Viva. We're here in Valletta in Malta. So this is a new country for us. We've been in Italy the last few stops at the start of the cruise. So being in the new country, it's going to be very interesting navigating here in Malta. We're going to go ahead and say our plan is to take a look at some of the local city here in Valletta. We're going to stop at Fort St. Elmo. We're going to find ourselves here on some of the higher ground, find the way up. And take a look around, so super exciting. Alright, so with a lot of walking planned today, we're gonna get some energy right now, go get some breakfast and see where the day takes us.
Here we are, we got some breakfast. Sharon has got an omelet in front of her.
I got a ham and cheese omelet, potatoes, and I asked for just a pancake instead of the toast on the side. They brought me a full pancake.
Okay, you're on a carb overload then,
yeah,
it looks
so
like.
I don't know if I can eat all this.
All right, Matthew has got some pancakes cooking right here. Riley got herself an omelet with some toast. Coffee's all around. I got a little oatmeal and an omelet too. Yes, I dug right in before even starting the video to show you this. So breakfast here at the local. You know, we thought it might be pretty packed and busy around here, but it's really not. And maybe most people are at the buffet trying to eat quick and get off the ship. So don't sleep on the local thinking it's going to be too busy. You might be able to come down here and get a great quick little breakfast, hot, fresh, and be on your way.
And here we are. We are finally in a new country. We are stepping foot in Valletta, Malta. And it is gorgeous out here. There's a nice breeze. It's not warm yet, it's just perfect. So I think it's gonna be a good day. It is just beautiful. All the windows up there, you can see there's different colors.
So one unique thing about this city here, Valletta, is that everything is elevated, right? There's a little area here down at the water level, but if you see that, a lot of things are up above, high up, and that was part of the defense mechanism back in the day to protect themselves from invasions and stuff like that. So when Sharon says we're looking for a lift, we're not looking for an Uber or a lift. We're looking for the elevator that will actually take us up from this level up to the upper levels up there, and it's called the Barrakka lift. So we're going to head there first and see if we can't get up top.
Look at those cute little things.
The little smart cars over there?
Yeah, little things you can probably rent.
Did you want to? I'm not sure if I can fit in one of those, let alone two of us.
Those are cute.
And look, it's a little origami hat sailboat thing.
Hello there. Hello.
All right, so as usual, Google Maps will be our friend today to help us get around. The first thing we're looking for is a Barrakka lift. And again, that's the elevator that'll take us up to the elevated part of the city. Hopefully, I think it should just be a 5-6 minute walk along the waterfront here. Well, there's a beautiful view of the Norwegian Viva right there for us. Now, at first, Google Maps wanted us to go up, and I think it wanted to take us to the top part of the lift. We want to go to the bottom part, so we just were told we're going to walk along this path just a couple minutes, and we got to get to where we want to be. All right, Sharon's dying to ride the horse and carriage. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna happen. All right, so what we're looking for, you see the top of the building there, and that little, I don't know how to describe it, the little tip there, the little column piece right behind it is some metal that you can see, and that is where the Barrakka lift is. So we're going to continue to follow the waterfront here until we can cut over and get on that elevator.
There's a lot of taxis out here as well, so that's a great option to get around here. They're outside the port everywhere, just parked.
Yes.
So
Easy to get a taxi to do anything you want if you don't already have a big plan. Excellent points, Sharon. Hey. The architecture. We've been seeing some amazing buildings and things like that lately. And this is very similar, yet different. It's a little bit simpler here. It gives me more of a Greek vibe. Not that I really know what I'm talking about, but it definitely gives you an old feel, but it looks awesome. And again, when we first connected to Google Maps, it wanted to take us up some ramps, and it really wanted to have us walk up to the elevated area and get to the top part of the elevator, the lift, as we call it. But I think that this way is the best way to go. So if you came along the waterfront, follow the pedestrian this way sign, And right there's a sign that says the Barrakka lift. So I know we're going in the right direction. Depending on when you get to the lift, depends on how busy it is right now. A very short line, it looks like. But it could be pretty long if you have multiple ships in port and they're all getting off at one time. And here's a look at that lift. Look at this thing. How awesome is that? Whoa, all the way to the top there. That is super cool. All right, so we're gonna get in line here. It's a couple of euros. We're gonna tell you in a minute how much it is.
It's €1.
€1.
Yeah.
Okay, €1 per person.
€1 per person.
Yes, and I think they physically collect it here, as opposed to putting a coin in a machine or anything like that. All right, I mentioned the line a minute ago. We just walked through here quickly. Now all of a sudden the line's out to the street that we just crossed. So it happens that fast when a new cruise ship gets in and they let off a group of people.
And they gave us these little tickets here, and these are our lift tickets to get up. Like I said, it was €1, and this will get us back down as well, so you have to hang on to these tickets.
Look at this wall. I mean, this is amazing. You know, back in the day, this was great protection. This is what kept the enemy from being able to scale the walls and get up to the city up there. Whoa, oh, that's high. Look at this view here, wow. Gorgeous up here, look at this. Holy mackerel. I'll just grab a quick little look right over here. Lovely view of the Marella Explorer 2 and Norwegian Viva. Of course, I just realized while I'm sitting there trying to look through those bars, everyone's over here with a perfect view. Okay, yeah, this is much better. Holy cow, look at this, beautiful. So Matthew, that's Fort St. Angelo right across the way?
Yes.
All right, and if I'm not mistaken, twice a day, I think at like 12 and maybe 4, they will come out here and have a cannon salute go on. So that's pretty neat. Being here for that is a pretty cool experience. But it's gorgeous out here. Look at those yachts. Oh my. All right, so we got off the lift. We come out to this beautiful little courtyard here. You can get a little snack and a drink if you were thirsty from the walk over. We're gonna head out, find Republic Street, and start seeing what Malta's got to offer here. We just came off to the side up here at the top of the Barrakka lift. And just getting a little look-see from this angle here. Great view of the ship. Right there you have a couple of cannons too. Maybe they're getting ready to shoot the traffic right over here. No, all the parked cars, it looks like that's what those are. But that's another way that you can walk up here if you want to do the walk. All right, and just like that, we are out of the lift area and we are out to the streets here. So again, we're looking for Republic Street. All right, here's a little statue of George Borg Olivier, Prime Minister, 1911-1980. I think that's his lifespan. I don't think that's his term as Prime Minister. Here's a little more architecture detail right here, but still not not the same that we saw in Italy at some of these places. I often wondered why in Italy they went to such extremes to go with such detail and extravagance with their architecture versus doing something simpler like this. This is Merchant Street right here, and I think we wanted to go to Republic Street. That's the happening street. But look at that! The street just goes all the way down. You can see the water in the distance, right next to this sexy guy having a smoke. Now, if I'm reading the sign right, this is the Parrocchia Italiana St. Caterina d'Italia Church, and there's an event here, maybe like a wedding. Congratulations! That's lovely. We're coming to a St. Zachary Street right here. We're gonna keep heading down. I will say, I mean, beautiful tile here. I mean, like in the road, right? It's just tile. I don't think any cars are driving on this, but it can be slippery. If your shoes are slick, if it's wet out, you gotta watch yourself. You can go flying right down the road here. Whoa, buddy. Wow, this is a full toy store right here. This is not Chotsky souvenir stuff. These are full-on toys here at a toy store. Look at all those model planes right there. Now, we're already seeing a lot of jewelry and stuff like that here. I don't know the quality level or how aggressive or competitive the pricing is for a lot of this stuff. I mean, it looks beautiful. I know it's going to be priced in euros, but I don't know if these prices are better than, worse than, or what. So if anybody knows the pricing here in Malta, let us know in the comments. Have you bought jewelry here? Have you bought watches here? Is the pricing competitive with what you find online or on the cruise ship or other places? And now we got to Republic Street. You can see what I mean. This street is busy and hopping. Going all the way down to the water practically. This street goes all the way through. And this street will take us all the way to Fort St. Elmo. All right, well, our first hot tip here on Republic Street, if you are in need of the facilities and you know what I'm talking about, there's a Starbucks right here. And when you get into the Starbucks, there's a little sign. You go downstairs and they do have the toilets. We'll find out in a minute if they had to get paid for or what. But if you're in need, Starbucks has got all the answers. You did need a code. You needed a code to get in the bathroom. I guess you had to buy something to get the code. We're not going to share the code. You got to figure it out on your own. Now, I mentioned that the first store we saw was a real like toy store, real stuff there. Some nice product. They've got your tchotchke stuff too. Shirts, trinkets, souvenirs, Malta hats, Malta frames, Malta this, Malta that. They've got it. Matthew's eyeballing a few things over there also.
One of the most popular symbols here in Malta is the 8-pointed cross, which we've seen so far on a lot of t-shirts and some flags and other merchandise. And it was the symbol used for a long time by the Knights Hospitaller, the Order of St. John, who were a Christian military order, Catholic military order, that used it as their sigil for a long time. For many years, and at one point they had control over Malta. They ruled the islands as their military order and took care of the people here, which is a very unique thing because you're used to hearing about, kings and princes and then presidents and people like that ruling countries. But Malta for many years was ruled simply by a group of knights and the Grand Master of the order, which is very interesting.
Okay, nothing like traveling with a group of shoppers. Every 5 seconds, somebody's ducking into a store or something. They got the pharmacies here. It's not like the pharmacies in Mexico where you can get anything and everything, or most everything. You will need a prescription for anything that you need a prescription for in the U.S., just so you know.
So we're noticing there are pigeons everywhere, just walking down the street, all around the food areas and just the shops. But, we have a lot of pigeons at home as well, but people think they're kind of disgusting and gross at home. But here they don't seem to be treated that way. They're just kind of wandering around with the people, and it just seems to be the norm. There's a ton of shopping here, too. So far, this may be the best shopping port because there's not only a lot of just standard souvenir shops, there's also... Matthew found a duck there. But there's also a lot of, I don't want to say high-end stores, but just normal stores, like we saw the Pandora back there. We saw some other kind of clothing stores. There's a lot of jewelry stores and just kind of regular type stores. Well, the kids are looking in here, so I think I'm going to have to mosey on in here and just take a peek myself.
All right, so while I'm waiting for the gang to come out from a little shopping, I'm sitting right across the way here from the St. John's Co-Cathedral. It's a cathedral dedicated or named after St. John the Baptist. There's a long line out here of people waiting to get in there, so I don't know that we're going to go ahead and do that, at least not at this time of the day. Our priority is to get down to the St. Elmo Fort, but very popular spot to go in and take a look. Lots of cool little knick-knack shopping out here and such, handmade crafts, things like that. Now right across the way from St. John's Co-Cathedral is the Justice Court, right? This is the court area here in Valletta, Malta. And I know that because I see the sign, Courts of Justice. Now, if we weren't in a hurry to get to this fort, this would be an awesome spot to come, sit down, have a little snack and a drink or something like that. Nice little restaurants right along the way here. This is called the King's Way. Here's a big old courtyard right in front of the Biblioteca, with all kinds of dining and eating going on right here. All right, well, hey, this is St. George's Square right here, a Roman soldier, a martyr, and a very popular figure here in Malta. Now, right over here, this sign on this building says Buckingham Palace. The governor of Malta, to honor her brave people, I award the George Cross to the island fortress of Malta to bear witness to a heroism and devotion that will long be famous in history. George R.I., April 1942. So now we're out of the chaos of the shopping there on Republic Street. And we're heading down, and in the distance we can see Fort St. Elmo. So we're gonna go check that out. We are on a downhill slide right here, heading to the fort, which isn't too bad, except that we're gonna have to come up this way as well. So that can get a little rough. Now we mentioned this fort is called Fort St. Elmo. And no, it does not have anything to do with St. Elmo's Fire, the movie that you might be familiar with. All right, so all of a sudden we've gotten to the bottom here, if you will, on Republic Street, all the way down towards the fort, and it's a whole different vibe. It's local. I mean, we are in a local area here. There are local little shops and things like that going on, little grocery stores, food, drink, stuff like that, vegetables here and things. Little store right here, so a whole different vibe going on than what we were finding at the top of Republic Street, where all the shopping was. This is the parts of the town that are, I don't know, I find them a little more interesting, because this is really just how the people, the locals, are living. All right, so now we crossed over to Merchant Street. Now again, we could have taken this street all the way down from the top where we were in Republic Street, but we want to come down that very popular touristy street first, and now we're heading up to the fort. All right, so we found the spot here to get into Fort St. Elmo. Right over here, the Malta Experience. And right here in this little building, got the red sign, this is where you're going to get your ticket. Fort St. Elmo and the National War Museum. 2 things, 1 ticket. So something we're pretty excited to see. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, okay. Very interesting. They got a kiosk here.
Can you have a card?
Yes.
All right, so we got our tickets there at the kiosk. You're looking at about $10 a person. Actually, the kids had their student ID on them, so even though they're not students in Malta, they were still able to save a few bucks and get $7 tickets, so that's kind of cool. All right, so we scanned our passes and we are in business right here. Fort St. Elmo was the first line of defense for the people of Malta. There's just a lot of history here, a lot of things to see, and everything's going to be in Maltese and in English, so that is kind of cool. I believe the Fort St. Elmo was built in 1562.
1552.
1552. My tour guide is getting me the right info. Thanks, Matthew. My built-in tour guide. So it's over 500 years old, this whole place. Pretty remarkable. The view from here is outstanding.
Even if you're not a history nerd, the view is beautiful of the Mediterranean here.
Just gorgeous.
Something interesting too is with the other fort over there, because there's really so many different fortresses around here. You would imagine that to protect the harbor here, they'd put out a big chain, a big metal chain, and any wooden ship that tries to come through would run into the chain, and the chain could split the ship apart or wreck it. It's just a very strategic location.
Here's a big old map. So we are right here. And it looks like everything lighter colors is where we can go to. I don't think we're going to cover everything here, but we definitely want to see as much as we can. Just a few minutes ago, we were right down there on that platform where those people are. Here's a little better look at the harbor area. It's beautiful out here. Now we're going to go into the War Museum.
Taking St. Elmo was to be no easy task. But on June the 23rd, the fort is finally conquered by the...
It's not like it's a very extensive museum, and there's still a little bit left to see, but they tell the story very well of what happened back in probably the biggest war that was fought here when the Turks came and tried to take over. It's kind of cool stuff if it's, you know, you're up your alley.
Yeah.
If you're a history buff, like, I don't know, this guy right here.
It's very well made in there. Good quality for the everything that they're talking about and depicting. And their little timeline shows some other historical events that happened at the same time, so you can kind of compare. Because if you're familiar with some other things like, you know, Columbus discovering America and how that, was kind of at the beginning of when some of this stuff was also happening.
Kind of sets the timeline, right?
Yeah, and people are familiar with,
Cool.
I'm sure Henry VIII, that was also a couple decades before this as well.
Cool, Matthew. That's
when
good
you
stuff.
look at it and you're like, oh, okay, now I'm kind of familiar with the time frame of when all this was happening.
So here's kind of our first look from the other side of the fort here. Totally different angle of Malta. But man, right down here you can see this is the older part of the fort that has not been refurbished or kept up. We are heading out of Fort St. Elmo. Matthew just loved it. He really said it was really his best museum experience, kind of fort museum combo ever. So we're pretty happy about that. It was a big deal. He enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. All right, Matthew's got us on a little shortcut here to get back to the lift where a few of our peeps are going to get a little shopping done. I'm going to enjoy a little tasty treat and a cold beverage. Matthew and Riley and Sharon went to go run to a few stores, and I said, you know what, I don't want to run to stores. I want something refreshing to drink and a little something to eat. So I came by the little stop here right by the lift, right by the top part of the Barrakka lift, and here's what I got. Got myself a nice cold Pepsi, and I got a chicken pastéis and a cheese pastéis. I think it's just some local Malta style food. We'll see how it tastes. All right, I'll tell you what, if you like puff pastry, then you'll probably like these things. Now the one had some, looked like sesame seeds on it. I destroyed that, didn't even stop to take a picture. Now this next one is just a kind of a plain puff pastry. I think the first one had the chicken in it, and this one is the cheese. Hey, listen, when you're starving, they're tasty, they're local, and they're not too shabby. Again, puff pastry is a key ingredient here. But now I'm going to chill out here with an amazing view and wait for Sharon, Matthew, and Riley to get back. Well, the crew has returned with big bags of stuff, and these guys never cease to amaze me the amount of souvenirs that they pick up.
So far, this port has been great. There has been a lot of shopping. We did a lot of shopping. We had some snacks. So we're going to finish our snacks here, and then we are going to head back onto the ship and just relax before dinner. We have a big event tonight with our group. We have a toga party, so that's going to be a lot of fun. So we need to be well rested and ready to toga. Well, I think that's it for us today in Malta. We are going to head back to the ship. We are going to take the Barrakka lift down to the lower level there and walk over to the port and get back on board. We had a great day here in Malta. We've never been here before. I mean, there's so many little things around here to see and do, and we had a great day going over to the fort, doing some shopping, walking up and down all the hills and stairs, but it was a lot of fun. Remember to travel safe, travel smart, and we will see you in the next video.